My name is Nick Ede and this is my brand review, and today I'm going to be looking at all the latest aftershaves that are available this summer from lots of different designers. Now the first one is this one called Coco Rico. It's by Jean-Paul Gaultier. It's his brand new fragrance and it's something that I suppose he has wanted to change because everybody knows La Male. It's a fragrance that's the most popular one for the last 5 years. So obviously he wants to cash in on that but also create something new. So first of all, that's pretty exciting actually is the design. It's a little bit different, this sort of silhouette of a guy's face. I don't know whether it's Gaultier's face, but it's a very sort of Romanesque kind of figure. And also just the design shape too of the packaging, which is a little bit different as well. Obviously you don't expect it to be in this kind of tin can basically, which is again something that he's done before, but the flat version is something that's obviously new. So on the first smell of it, you think, wow, okay, this is quite strong, quite pungent. It's got really nice, spicy top notes, and it has this really interesting sort of almost leafy kind of smell. It's not the kind of thing that you're going to wear during the day. It's definitely something you're going to go out on the night out with. And one of those fragrances that you can't actually put on too much of it because you really will smell really, really pungent. So definitely I think it's one of my favourites actually, and I think because it's so new and so exciting, it definitely gets, from me, probably about a 4 out of 5. I really do like this one. I love the way it's styled as well. It looked really good in someone's bathroom. One of the most anticipated fragrances, actually this one, is called Spice Bomb, and it's by Viktor and Rolf. Now they're a really famous fashion design duo, and they've made this really eye-catching bottle first of all. Make sure you don't take it through customs. It does look like a grenade. It doesn't go off though. Only place it does go off is in your senses, because actually it's a wonderful fragrance. It's really strong and it's quite pungent to tell you the truth, but it's one of those ones that are very, very memorable and people will know exactly what you're wearing. It's a bit like when Fahrenheit came out and everybody was like, oh my god, you're wearing Fahrenheit, or when, you know, Eternity came out by Calvin Klein. But this is a really good fragrance and one of those ones that you will wear during the evening. But I would say that you could wear it to an interview, for instance, because you will be remembered. It's one of those fragrances that will come in the door probably 3 hours before you do. You could smell it a mile off. But I love it, and I'm actually going to give this a 5 out of 5. It is one of my favourite new fragrances. Moving on to this one, which is Dolce & Gabbana. Now they obviously are a massive design duo, again like Viktor and Rolf, but these guys have been creating this brand, which is called The One, for quite a while now. It's actually the 6th year of actually having the brand. And what they do is they revamp it. So this summer they've created The One Sport. Now I don't really think of sport immediately when I look at a bottle like this, but actually when you smell it, it smells light and bright and fragrant. It's really, really nice. And you can imagine it as the kind of fragrance that you would wear after you've been in the gym, after you've had a shower. It's not too heavy, it's quite light, it's got those really nice citrusy smell, and that really gives you that zing. And I suppose when they say sport, that's what it's all about. Luckily, they don't talk about sweat, and this definitely doesn't smell of sweat, thank God. It's one of the best fragrances out there, but I have to say, a little bit boring for me, because actually I smelt it before, it's not going to go anywhere, it doesn't make me feel excited, so I'm only going to give it a 2 out of 5 to tell you the truth. And the packaging too, again, it's really boring, not the kind of thing I want to be looking at. If I'm going to be buying something and purchasing it, I want to have some inspiration, and here, seriously, with that sports sign, it's more, it's not really very trendy at all, not really very me, so I definitely say that's the sort of bottom of my list of these top 5. The next one is Black Excess. Now this one is actually a very, very well-known fragrance. Again, it's by Paco Rabanne. I don't know if you've seen the adverts for it, but they're quite dark. They've got sort of lots of gothic stuff in it, and even here they give you this little trinket, which is a skull. I'm really not too sure about it. It's not the kind of thing that really makes me want to buy a fragrance. You don't buy it for the trinkets, do you? You buy it for the smell and for what people say. Now it does open quite nicely. It's a bit like an old Zippo lighter, which is quite cool. And again, it's a fragrance that people have known for a long time. I mean, they call it L'Excess. I think the idea is that this is probably the deepest, darkest version of the brand. Now, I suppose if you are somebody who wears it all the time, you might quite like this, but for me, it's really, really heavy. It sort of almost sticks at the back of your throat. It's like a nasty wine that you can't get the taste out of, or it's like when you spray hairspray in your face. It's not the kind of thing that I like, and I definitely wouldn't be buying this for any of my friends, probably my enemies, especially if they want the skull, they get that for free at least anyway. But I'd definitely probably only give this a 1. And again, it's got rather a tacky kind of, you know, branding. I don't really like it particularly. I don't really get what the rose means, it's a bit rocky. And then this skull there, you know, if you want to go Alexander McQueen, you have to be a bit more clever. I just don't feel this is clever. Like the fragrance, it doesn't really work for me. Now the final one is Gucci. Now obviously Gucci is very well known as a heritage brand, and I think, you know, they have a great reputation for providing people with a signature smell that everybody knows, and we all know that we've had Gucci in the past. Now this is their new one, it's called Guilty Intense, and definitely is an intense fragrance, but also a really nice bottle as well, quite quality. It looks very metallic, and something that's very sophisticated. You can imagine this somebody who's travelling everywhere, a little bit older, maybe liking. If you smell it, you can smell, I suppose, quite spicy notes. This is something that's really good going through this, but also a bit of watermelon as well, which is quite nice. So you have that real sort of sweet and sour juxtaposition, which I suppose is why they bring it intensely, because that's what they're feeling. They're really driving these different fragrances home. And actually, I quite like this because I think it's a little bit unusual. Again, it's a kind of fragrance you probably wear during the evening, but you can probably spray it on once during the day and it'll last all day. Now, one of my top tips when you're fragrance smelling is, first of all, have a little bit of coffee because it neutralises the nose. But also the other thing too is that people talk about where to spray fragrances and they spray it all over their faces, all over their necks. But actually one of the best places to do it is here in your elbows, because the heat actually creates sweat but also makes the smell come out and it actually lasts for a long time. Now if you have got any comments and you want to actually challenge me on these, because you know I've given you my top 5, I've told you what I like, all you need to do is put your comment at the bottom of this and I'll come back to you maybe if I don't agree with you. But if you agree with me, I quite like that.